All right. Well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. Today we are talking about Social Security, and in particular, we had to go and pull statements this last week, which was a little bit of a rigmarole. But I thought as long as we have Brad here, let's learn from the expert as to what are some of the concepts.
That Social Security Administration website, ssa.gov, is an interesting website. You go there and it's like, did you own a 1979 Pinto?
Yeah.
Or what color was your first car? Those kind of things. So it is a little tricky to get in.
It's crazy that they knew some of my first cars, and even I had to think, well, what year was that?
It's big government. They understand who we are. So with regards to Social Security, though, I even have people say, Brad, is it even going to be around? And yes, Social Security is going to be there. I'm not getting into politics here at all. But, they'll just come to your kids and my kids and say you're going to be 72 when you take it. They just, stretch that benefit out.
Keep bumping it back.
It's going to be there, yeah. But they stopped mailing the statements to you and I. They stopped mailing the statements several years ago to save money. And I don't even know what age it is. If it's 55 when they start mailing it again, or 60 or something like that, the benefit statement we used to always get.
Yeah.
It's really important for all our listeners to go out to ssa.gov, set up your own login for it, and just pull that statement and look at it. Not the benefit estimator, the actual statement. It's 4 pages long. It shows you if you get disabled, what it will pay you at 62, at 67, if that's your full retirement age, and at age 70. It gives you those benefit amounts.
Yeah.
But you should look at your earnings history. We've found several clients that have had bad earnings history, like it wasn't reported correctly from their employer. And so you should be looking at that and just have an idea. And whoever you're working with financially needs a copy of that, because they've got to be able to back end how much you want down the road when you retire.
Yeah.
And so most of these calculators that wealth advisors use will fluctuate between 62 and 67 and 70. They can give you a cost
play out a couple of different
analysis.
scenarios.
Absolutely. Yep.
For how when you start to take your retirement.
Right. But they can't do it without the statement. So you've got to go out there and get the statement. And it's just good, prudent thing to do to have in your file, to grab a statement every year, 2 years, 3 years. Go out and grab a new one and just take a look at it and make sure that your advisor has a copy of it. And it's just an important tool, whether it's $2,000 a month or $1,500 or $3,000 a month down the road. That's, it's not chump change, as they would say. It's going to be there for you.
Yeah. So talk me through, you've pulled the statement. Now, what's the next step for the ideal financial advisor? Right. Yeah. You have that statement. Now what with it?
Yeah. So we plug it into our system. We call it iTrack, and we put it in there, and we put in your full retirement age. So for you, let's say it's 67. Let's say it's $2,000 a month. We enter it in there. Now we can start to say, well, what if you delayed and took it at 70? How much is it going to be? What if you took it at 62? And this is what you're going to give up, and we might use age 90 for life expectancy, and then it'll give us like the annuity benefit. So what's the full amount you'd get if you took it at 62, 67, or 70? And you can start to put that in your plan. So we'll have clients that say we're going to retire at 60, but we're not turning on their Social Security until 70. Yeah. We're going to spend other money to let that account continue to grow. So that's why it's just so important to have those numbers. It's a benefit. It's your pension that you're paying into. You've paid for it, but we need to know what it's going to be down the road. And that the only place to go get it is ssa.gov, because they don't mail it to us anymore. So,
yeah. I think the thing that's interesting about this process, having just been through it with you here, is when you look at that, it's one of many pieces. But it's also kind of a piece that has a little moving lever to it, right? You can play it out this way, you can play it out this way, you can play it out this way. Well, then there's a couple other pieces, and the beauty of working with somebody like yourself is you get to play out different scenarios very, very quickly. And the communication that happens between like me and my spouse of saying, what do we want, right? If you can see what all the scenarios are, until you can see the scenarios, you can't really pick even what you want to do,
right?
Because you don't know what the options are.
Yeah.
So a little piece of software like this, like the iWealth software that you have, allows you to play with those options. Yeah,
and I've sat down with the statements, and husband or wife hasn't worked for all these years, and they throw it in front of you, and they're like, geez, look at all these zeros I haven't paid in. My benefit's really going to be nothing. And there's so many different nuances. Like, you can still take half of your spouse's, though. So you could be a spouse, never work all your life, and your husband or wife worked all their life. They get a $3,000 a month benefit. You're entitled to $1,500.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. So it's just good to have the statement and start having those scenarios out in front of you. And there's not a two-age. you're never too young to do this. I don't care if you're 35. Grab your statement and start looking at it for down the road.
And the other thing too that's so interesting is when you don't live in this world because you're out making money or working with your family or whatever that is, all of a sudden sitting down with somebody and being able to flesh out that has some sense as to even what the terms are. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but like what are some of these terms that go along with that? There's a huge amount of benefit to that. And I think that's what's helpful to me.
And you're used to getting your 401k statement, everything in the mail. These things don't come anymore. So it's just off our radar, Yeah.
Well, thank you. And we'll see you back here next time.
Yep. Thanks.